Drink Cinema! Cheers.
Welcome to another episode of Two Drink Cinema. We are 2 out of 3 brothers reviewing iconic movies 1 week at a time and 2 drinks at a time is how that intro goes. I just like to keep regular listeners on their toes as well as myself forgetting halfway through how to start an episode. How are you, Brett?
I'm good. How are you? I'm good. Thank you.
It's fucking ridiculous. And then, you haven't seen it, but it's worse in Dark Knight Rises.
Oh, that's why. Maybe that's why I haven't seen it. There you
Between Christian Bale talking like this and Tom Hardy talking like this through whatever the fuck the Bane mask does.
Oh.
I'm like the easiest person to listen to is Marion Cotillard's accent.
Yeah. God.
All right, we're doing The Dark Knight, as you've guessed by the title and the fact that we told you at the end of last episode. You have...
I've made a cocktail.
Well, I'm guessing it's called the Joker.
It's called the Joker.
Because it is way too green
It's
to
green
be
and
Batman.
purple-ish.
And there's purple at the bottom, so it's not the Riddler.
And, you know, let's see how we go. It's got vodka. Our old friend Midori, as soon as I poured it out, I went, I'm 16.
This is thanks Singapore duty free for this big bottle of Midori.
Vodka, lemon juice, and then the purplish stuff is made with the grenadine and blue curacao.
And the very last of the blue curacao.
Yeah, and soda water, and a drop or a little bit more than a drop if your finger slipped a bit, then of absinthe.
All right. There you go,
Looks
listeners.
all right, except for little floaty bits. But anyway,
That's the lemon juice. Cheers.
cheers. Ooh,
It needs a stir. It was mainly soda water I tasted.
it was mainly, yeah, that's true. It was mainly nothing. Ooh, I'm an agent of chaos. Look at it go.
Yeah, look at it. Just stirring shit up.
Let's have a stir. I think yours might have more purple than mine, but we'll see. Take 2.
Cheers. That's better. I'd prefer it with lemonade, but I'm not a soda water man.
That's what I was like, oh, but then I feel like there's heaps of lemonade with thing, but anyway.
There's also heaps of soda water with things.
We worked it out. It's not too bad. It's drinkable.
Yeah. Welcome to a world... Well, I looked up the taglines on IMDb for The Dark Knight. Mm-hmm. And this is what it gave me. But I feel like this is 2 or 3. Welcome to a world without rules. Out of the darkness, ... comes the night with a K.
With a K.
And the night is darkest before the dawn.
Yeah. They're not great taglines.
I think the best tagline is probably the most iconic line from the movie.
Why so serious?
Well, that's one for the Joker, but...
Or the one about the hero and the villain.
You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Yeah.
Because that is the story of Harvey Dent, spoiler.
Yeah.
But is also one of the big
the
themes of Nolan's Batman.
Yeah.
Is whether or not he's a hero or a villain, and he can do bad things and take that beating from the people and from the city as much as he can take the physical beatings.
Yeah.
Which Alfred is very quick and regular to remind Bruce Wayne.
Easy.
He is. A ruby the size of a tangerine.
You're right, Batman. Oh, is that Rachel Dawes look on that?
I did tell you so.
They're probably going to pin this on me too, aren't they?
All right, Artful Dodger. Yeah. Okay.
You're proper mad, innit? There you go. That's Michael Caine now.
So, as I started the movie...
Yep.
I started writing some notes on what happened in Batman Begins, in case you haven't seen it, which you haven't.
Which I haven't.
But the movie, this is the best of the 3. It is captivating from the start. Mm-hmm. This is what I wrote about Batman Begins. In case you haven't seen Batman Begins and you're just watching Dark Knight, Bruce Wayne ran away after someone. Opening with a full screen IMAX shot is very much establishing the epicness of this film. It's like, oh, okay, we're in. And the whole screen is full of Chicago, I mean Gotham City.
Yeah.
Interestingly, I don't know, maybe you will say this, at the end of Batman Begins, Nolan said he didn't want to do a sequel. Despite the fact that at the end of
Begins.
Well, at the end of Batman Begins, Jim Gordon goes to Batman.
Jim Gordon the kid?
No, Jim Gordon's the Commissioner Gordon.
I thought they called him Jim at some point.
He might be Jim Jr.
Right.
I'm sure he's Commissioner Gordon Dark Knight.
I thought they called the kid Jim.
James Gordon.
Oh, okay. Right.
So Jim must be the younger.
Right. Okay. Sure. Continue.
Bryan Cranston has played a Commissioner Gordon.
Oh, there you go.
And Gary Oldman and Jeffrey Wright.
Yep.
At the end of Batman Begins, Batman's like, there's this new... Gordon's like, there's this new guy, and he keeps leaving this calling card, and the calling card is a Joker card.
Yes.
But then he's like, oh, no, I didn't want to make a sequel.
Is that why in this one, rather than making a sequel about Two-Face, they just include his story tacked on the end as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just kill him. The story is good through this whole movie, and Joker is there from the start.
Yep.
We kind of have established how Batman works and how Batman operates in Batman Begins. Wayne Manor gets burnt down at the end of Batman Begins.
I assumed because they did say something about it'd be nice to move back, Batman, what?
Yeah. So the League of Shadows, led by Liam Neeson, Ra's al Ghul, burns down Wayne Manor.
Yep.
Their plan in Batman Begins is to essentially level Gotham City because it's become too corrupt. But Bruce Wayne and Batman want to save the city. They think the city is still worth saving.
Right.
But then the Joker comes, and in the first half of the movie, each time we see the Joker, it adds another bit to his villainness.
Villainicity.
Like the fact that he gets his henchmen to kill each other.
Very good.
But also only one of them works out that they're going to kill each other.
Yeah, and then because you don't know that he's
like
there.
The guy that kills the phone guy doesn't realise that the safe guy's going to kill him or whatever.
Yeah.
And then the safe guy doesn't realise that this other guy's going to kill him. They're dumb.
Because, you know what? The first thing I wrote was, why is he standing on the street with no mask on? And then when he gets in the car, he puts a mask on?
Oh, yeah.
But then maybe that answered my question.
Well, he doesn't want his henchmen to know that he is the Joker.
Yeah.
But he's still standing on the street with no mask on.
Yeah. The reasoning
But the
I
Joker
think is
doesn't know
that that would be an iconic shot. Let's keep that in.
Yeah. And the people don't know the Joker yet.
No. Do they? No, they don't.
One thing that's an interesting thing between Batman Begins and then leading into The Dark Knight Rises is that it's a while into the movie before Batman and Gordon are aware of the Joker.
Yeah,
the mob knows of him and Lau knows of him, but they're still trying to take down Lau and the mob. And their big thing at the moment is corruption, which is a thing of Gotham City that other Batman movies haven't really tackled.
Yep.
Like in terms of comics and a lot of the lore and canon around Batman, it is a very corrupt city.
Yeah.
And Salvatore Moroni's a bigger character in a lot of the comic stuff.
Yeah.
So I think what Nolan did really well, he managed to make his own movie without pissing off Batman fans, because he really, I don't think, from what I know of the comics, he didn't get any of the characters to do something that they wouldn't do. And I think a big criticism a lot of times in comic book movies is like, in the comics, Riddler doesn't cackle like Jim Carrey. Or Riddler's plan in Batman Forever is not the kind of plan that
but
the Riddler would have. But what Nolan has done, I think he distilled Batman, Joker, and Two-Face into their things.
Yep.
And then put that into his Gotham City.
Yes,
Does that make
because
sense?
that's his adaptation of the thing. Joel Schumacher's is different. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I think he's done well is still have Joker is chaos, and that's his thing with his plans. It's just about chaos and, as Alfred puts it, watching the world burn.
Yeah.
And Two-Face's thing is about fairness. And so Harvey in this movie thinks he has been treated unfairly, or Batman acted unfairly in choosing him over Rachel. But he didn't. Well, you can't convince him that he hasn't. And he's taken Batman has this internal thing of like being the hero, but also not wanting to be the hero.
Yeah.
Being seen from the outside as a villain. And we get that from the very start because there's the news conference of like, hey, Mayor, why aren't you catching the Batman?
Yep. The Batman, yep.
And his big rule always has been not to kill. Batman doesn't kill people. And there has been criticism of other movies where Batman has killed. I think Ben Affleck's Batman kills people.
Yeah, okay.
Which Batman fans are like, that's not Batman.
Yeah.
So as much as people do their different adaptations, and that's okay, a lot of them in recent times, as we've got more and more and more, comic book movies have broken some key elements of character.
Yeah, okay.
And I think that's a criticism also of Jared Leto's Joker, is that
there's plenty of criticism.
He's just mad. He's not like coming up with these funny chaos, in his mind, funny chaos plans. I don't think people got that sense from Suicide Squad and The Suicide Squad and Jared Leto's Joker movie that never happened because nobody liked him in Suicide Squad.
And then Joaquin Phoenix did and went, oh, fuck, no, we can't do it now.
Yeah. So that's Nolan's set up his own Gotham City, but put characters which are essentially true to comic book lore in the way they do stuff. I don't really need to go through the whole movie.
But look, there's a story.
There is a story, and I think
actually, there's multiple.
What makes this one of the best Batman movies and one of the best movies based on comic book material is that it's not a comic book storyline.
No.
Like, an Iron Man is like, Iron Man builds this super suit and there's a super villain.
Yeah.
His ex-workmate builds his version of the super suit and then they have to fight.
And Mickey Rourke's there.
Yeah. There is, this guy that freezes the city and this woman that can control plants and this guy that has an American Express card. Like that kind of thing. It's not a comic book style movie. It's an action drama social commentary movie based on characters from comic books.
Yes.
Which he does very well. Jonathan Nolan wrote an incredible script for this one.
I think it is a good script. There's obviously ad-libbed bits of henchman number 3 in a mask making up your lines that are bad.
Yes.
I'm here to make a withdrawal. Oh, fuck off, mate. Like, there's still that bit of what I find cringy action comic book movie.
There's one that I've put in as worst line that will come up later.
You know, I was watching. I remember seeing it in the movies and going, "Wow." Then as I started watching it, I was like, oh, maybe it's not as good as I remember it. And then I got further in. I'm like, oh, no, yeah, it's still really good.
It's kind of drama, and it doesn't move slowly, I think, in the first half, but it isn't action. Like in a Marvel movie, there's 3 fights before an hour in.
Yeah.
And there isn't quite that.
Well, I think as a big part of it is setting up the new characters. Obviously, we know Batman and
Alfred
Katie
and Gordon.
Holmes. Like,
Yeah.
so let's focus on Harvey and Joker.
And I think, as I was saying, he does well. Each time you meet the Joker in this first half of the movie, it adds something. Him killing his henchmen is ruthless.
Yep.
And then we get when he kidnaps the guy and he's just yelling at the guy when he does the look at me bit.
Yeah.
That shows some madness when he first meets the mob and he punches that guy's head into the table. That's pretty cool. But then he's also like, he really doesn't care what is happening. This whole thing is fun to him. He's got the grenades in his jacket pocket.
Yeah.
So it's not about, for him, it's just about going out there and seeing what happens. It's not about, I need to beat the mob.
Yeah, or it's not about the money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that grows into his big speech with Batman in the interview room. That is not a speech of his plan, like a lot of supervillains have.
I do know what my plan is. I'm going to take over the world with flowers, or whatever Uma Thurman says.
Yeah, but it still has that big villain speech element to it.
Yeah.
As well as being kind of their comment on the society and people. And then he has another moment of that speech when he talks to Harvey Dent in the hospital. So it's very well built up of the Joker's character, Nolan's version and Ledger's version of the Joker, which is very good. And then as soon as Harvey Dent says, I'm the Batman, that's when the movie goes, nah, now we're going to hook you.
Now we're an action movie, guys.
Yeah. And the intensity, like that cello that goes through it, just keeps going up and up and up and up the whole way. You barely get a rest from that intensity in the second half of the movie.
Yeah.
The only kind of moment you get is Alfred talking to Rachel in the penthouse.
And even that's like a 30-second conversation.
Yeah, and it's even
why did
that
he
is
let
like,
Harvey do that?
Yeah, that's one thing. She's just emotional at that moment. Like, she's an assistant district attorney. She's clever enough to have a bit of understanding about why Harvey did it and why Bruce let him.
Yeah.
But instead, she's just the ex-girlfriend, fiancé character.
Look, she's all right. She has her moments, Maggie Gyllenhaal, where she's very good.
She's no Katie Holmes.
There's other moments where it's just like, why you?
That's true.
Like, is this?
Do you know why you?
Is this the best we could find?
I know that Tom wouldn't let Katie do it, or whatever. The church said no.
Well, they offered Katie Holmes the part, but she decided, of her own free volition, is that an oxymoron? Yeah, to not reprise the role. Instead, she opted to co-star with Diane Keaton and Queen Latifah in Mad Money. Heard of that?
No.
Nope. Sarah Michelle Gellar, Isla Fisher, Emily Blunt, and Rachel McAdams were all considered for the role before Maggie Gyllenhaal stepped in.
Okay. Would you like to compare the Dark Knight box office to the Mad Money box office?
Is one the highest grossing movie of 2008 and one not?
Yep. So, Mad Money
didn't make Mad Money.
At the box office, it did not make Mad Money. It only cost $12 million to make. Ted Danson was in it too, as Don Cardigan. But it took $26.4 million. So it barely doubled its money. And then Dark Knight cost 185 million
Yep.
and took
$1 billion.
$1 billion,
Yeah.
which is mad. The Dark Knight
That is
Rises
mad money.
took more.
Anyway.
So, but then people also ask. So I typed in Dark Knight box office and it comes up. Google says 1.006 billion USD. Then people also ask, was Dark Knight a hit or a flop? Inception would be one of the highest grossing films of 2010. The Dark Knight was the highest grossing film of 2008, both domestically and internationally.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, the story works well at being a character-driven action drama movie because there's a lot of depth to Bruce Wayne's conflict around being the hero / vigilante / scapegoat, whatever whatever the city needs Batman to be, with that added element of he still wants to get with Rachel, and then there's the character work of Joker, which is very good, as we've said, setting up the chaos and the anarchy, and the contrast between Harvey Dent and Batman is good and builds to the city actually needs both.
Yeah.
The city needs, ironically, a Russian ballerina is in favour of elected government officials.
What is this democracy?
Yeah.
Like,
She has a deep enough understanding of democracy to think that Harvey Dent is more important than Batman.
and ancient Rome. Because when it was like, they were talking around that thing, it's like, the last person who did that, Maggie Gyllenhaal was the last person who did that, his name was Caesar. And then the Russian ballerina is just like, I agree.
Yeah, I know. You're right. Ancient Rome. Apparently men only think about the Roman Empire, but it's also Russian ballerinas.
It's also Russian ballerinas and Maggie
assistant
Gyllenhaal.
district attorneys. The character work is very good, apart from that moment of Maggie Gyllenhaal just being an emotional girlfriend.
Yeah.
Setting up Dent and building up Dent so that the turn from White Knight to Two-Face is extreme enough and is exemplified when he yells, "Say it," at Gordon. That sounds like the way Joker yelled, "Look at me," at the hostage.
Yeah.
Like the sound of those is very similar, and I'm sure that's a deliberate thing in Nolan's to that. That's showing that now he's a villain.
Yes.
One thing that really dated this movie, just as an aside, Jim Gordon's phone. When Alfred texts him, 8 texts. I suppose Alfred's old. Oh no, Lucius. Alfred?
Lucius.
They're both old.
Yeah.
Alfred's old. So sending him 4 texts makes sense.
But
But it's also to build the suspense
it's
up.
also when Morgan Freeman's in Hong Kong, he's like, "Oh, it's my Nokia ringtone. Sorry." I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
But they were very aloof about that as well. She's like, "Oh, we don't allow phones in." He's like, "Sorry, forgot about it." Okay,
Yeah.
Continue on.
Yeah.
That
continue
won't be
on.
an issue down the line. And then especially at the end when he's going back and he's like, "Here's your phone." I found this bit stupid. "Here's your phone." And he's like, "I've already got it." And the guy's like, "Well, I guess I'll keep that there then."
Hey, I'll just put it in a drawer with no other phones.
With a clear drawer with no other phones. I have a question about that whole bit, right?
The bit in Hong Kong.
Morgan Freeman knows that Bruce Wayne is Batman.
Yes.
Okay, so I was like, are we keeping this a secret? Because then Shirley's like, oh, why would he be in, like, oh, Bruce Wayne was in Hong Kong. Oh, now Batman's in Hong Kong at the same time.
Yeah, Lucius knows.
But how high profile is Bruce Wayne in terms of if people see him in Hong Kong? People would know who he is.
But it would be known that Wayne Enterprises is looking to do a deal with Lau.
Yes. My thing is, these two people who are very much from Gotham City happen to be in the same place.
Well, that's one of the things when they talk about the Dark Knight. right? That not the Dark Knight, Batman Begins, is Bruce Wayne goes missing for 12 years.
Yep.
Right? And then comes back, and a week later, Batman's there.
Yeah. My thing as well, though,
Who is this person with all this amazing technology that must have cost stupid amounts of money and looks very military-grade stuff? Bruce Wayne's just come back. Could it be him? No chance. The man who owns the company that has military contracts.
And then later on, when he's doing that thing with the phone and he's like, this is too much power, or whatever.
Yeah.
That was a terrible impersonation. I apologize. And then, but is it something about the Batman suit that makes Christian Bale talk like that? Because he's talking, it's like...
He doesn't have to put the voice on.
He doesn't have to put the voice on.
No.
So he's still just like, you have the power. You can destroy it.
You think it's a programmed...
It's like constricting his neck. Maybe that's why I can't breathe.
Yeah.
It really hurt my throat.
I know that Michael Keaton in Batman Returns can't move his
neck, yeah.
So maybe that's an issue. It wasn't actually an issue. Michael Keaton's talked about it. The issue of the constriction of the suit. And he's a bit jealous that Christian Bale can move in this trilogy.
And also this technology of let's reconstruct, re-engineer a bullet.
No.
To then get a fingerprint.
No.
I was like, oh, fuck off. I've messed up shit is this.
I wrote about that. I do not believe the rebuilding of the bullet to get the fingerprint.
No. Inadmissible.
The sonar's a little bit too far. Right?
Yeah, I didn't like that.
There are no phones in a stairwell, and Lucius Fox sends him a map of a stairwell.
Yeah.
There's no phone overlooking the harbour.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Lucius Fox can show him a view of the harbour. No.
Yeah.
But it's still the reconstructing of that brick and the bullet. I think as a writer, it's a risk. Like if Iron Man did that, you kind of just go, yep, sure.
Yeah.
Because the level of Iron Man, he can do fucking anything.
Yeah.
Like he shrinks his whole suit down to like the size of my thumbnail and then just presses it and it grows all over his body because of nanotech.
Yeah. And you're just like plausible. Moving on.
Sure. In this universe,
yeah.
plausible, but there's so much of the rest of Nolan's Batverse that that is real. Like the Batmobile is a modified tank. Like it didn't just invent something that shoots flames out the back and then it drives forward really fast. Even though that's what it does.
Yeah.
But like that's all based on real things. In Batman Begins, his first suit is essentially cave diving equipment that he just spray paints black. To then be able to be like, I'm going to copy how this brick shattered, apply it to this brick, and not only reconstruct a bullet, but get a fingerprint. Too much.
Too much. Inadmissible in court.
Yeah. Because Batman is often in court.
Yeah. I have this piece of evidence, Your Honor. Sorry, can you speak up?
Please approach the bench. I object.
Imagine being the stenographer, having to understand that.
Yeah, we'll get to the stenographer. Also, this movie, I believe, has the weirdest announcement of a promotion in cinema history.
Okay.
They go and they've captured the Joker and then they're in the prison.
Yeah.
And then Commissioner Gordon's back. They all thought he's dead.
Yeah.
And then the mayor's just like, it's your job. And he's like, oh. And everybody's clapping.
Yeah.
Even the Joker. So I think it's stupid. But then if it gives us that shot of him clapping, I'm like, okay, it's worth it. I don't give a shit.
Yeah. And I think this is the thing. We've talked a lot, particularly in my story half of the episodes, about things that are just in there as story devices.
Yeah.
But I think if you do it well enough, which Christopher Nolan does, you can go, that's okay. I'll allow it.
Yeah.
Like you'll allow that. There's been, also him standing on the corner, exposing his face to the whole of Gotham City.
Yeah.
You'll allow it because it does give us that iconic shot. And we don't know at that point of the movie that is Joker.
I also think, like, watching it, the scene where Commissioner Gordon is interrogating the Joker,
Yeah.
I was like, that would be the scene that they submitted to the Academy to be like, give me an Oscar, because it's bloody good.
Yeah.
Even it's because for me the thing with Heath Ledger's performance is, yeah, he's a psycho, but it's like the little things as well. Like in that scene, he's like, I've been here the whole time, and the way he just like lifts up his arms and go, handcuffed. Like I'm like, fuck,
he's very good.
And the way because I read a thing, it was like, you know how he's like licking his lips and stuff. He was doing that initially because the makeup was like melting.
Yeah.
So he was licking, and he was just like, I'll just make it a tick that the Joker has.
Yep. And it does show a more madness thing.
Yeah.
The licking of the lips. Christopher Nolan gave him pretty free rein, which is good. And often the cynic in me is like, they just gave him an Oscar because he's dead.
A lot of people were like that at the time.
But he's very good.
Yeah.
And I don't think if you went back and looked, who Oscar nominations 2008, is that what I need to look up?
Yeah, so Robert Downey Jr. was nominated for Tropic Thunder. Could you imagine if they'd give it to him?
Oh my God, that would have to be cancelled now.
The one, Michael Shannon was themed for Revolutionary Road. He was very good in that. Josh Brolin was up for Milk, and there would have been one more.
Seymour Hoffman for Doubt.
Ooh, yeah. You know what? It was a good year.
Yeah, and Robert Downey Jr. was nominated as well.
Yeah. The weakest performance
Do you
in
think
that.
he'll get it as a make-up for not winning it?
I think he'll get it. The weakest performance out of that 5 is Josh Brolin's.
Milk, yeah. But I feel like there were a couple of things where they were like, we should nominate the gay movie.
Well, I think that they made up for arguably robbing Brokeback Mountain a few years before for best.
Yeah.
So like, we have to give Sean Penn an Oscar for playing a gay now because
we didn't give it
to
to
Brokeback
Jake.
Mountain a few years ago. So we have to prove that we do like the gays, but only when straight people play them. Okay, yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. We'll do that. That's the Academy meeting.
Well, it is now because you have to be inclusive. You have to tick the boxes.
Which is why it's very lucky that Oppenheimer was released this year, not a couple.
Yeah. There's a guy in the corner with a clipboard. Actually, it's probably a woman in the corner with a clipboard just to show more diversity. Tick, tick, tick.
Walking around the camera operators going, does anybody here identify as queer? Yep, okay, good, tick. Anyway, off track.
All right.
What I will say,
yes.
I don't like Eric Roberts. Just in general.
Oh, yeah?
Like, I cannot think
Emma's
of
dad?
something that Eric Roberts has done where I've liked him.
I think he's good in this movie.
Because I think part of it is that he plays an asshole well, including in Mariah Carey's "We Belong Together," whatever the song is. Film clip. Yeah.
It's interesting that Julia Roberts is Julia Roberts.
Yeah.
But Eric Roberts is that guy.
Yeah.
Like, you know, he's in the Human Centipede 3. Julia Roberts is not doing something like that.
Yeah. I just think that he's always an asshole, I think.
Yeah.
Is part of it.
Hang on. He's also in Megalodon the Frenzy that came out last year. And also Sharktopus from 2010.
I'm adding it to the list.
Megaboa.
Sharktopus sounds quite...
There's another one.
Ooh. Anyway.
Oh, it's a shark.
That was my last note that I wrote. I don't like Eric Roberts.
I wrote a few things at the end. The makeup or whatever effects they use on Two-Face is very good.
The consistency with the makeup on the Joker as well is very good, particularly when he's like in prison and then getting like beaten up by Batman ridiculously. Because it's obviously he's like sweating and it's wearing off, and there's like, you know, a bit missing and stuff. It's very good continuity.
As much as I like Jack Nicholson's Joker, I'm not super into that he fell into the vat of chemicals and it made his face actually white.
Yeah, dumb.
One thing in terms of story is that there's no real explanation of stuff and plans, which
Yep.
is leaning more into the character-based action drama. How does the Joker manage to put bombs in every room of Gotham General Hospital?
Yeah.
How does Batman get sonar onto everybody's phones?
Yep.
Like, presumably Wayne Enterprises has a SIM card arm,
Well, like the Kingsman that
Yeah.
I just watched.
but that's not explained. It's almost like we're not wasting time of that.
Yeah.
And we're just, in terms of that plausibility, like we were saying, Iron Man, anything's plausible. We just are in this world accepting that Joker has the ability to do that and Batman has the ability to do that. We don't need
Yep.
to read how.
Yeah.
One of the big criticisms of the movie is that comic Batman, is often touted as the world's greatest detective. And we don't get a lot of that in this movie and in Batman Begins. There's not a lot of him detecting. There's a lot of him fighting,
Yeah.
which I think they then make up for in The Dark Knight Rises,
Okay.
because there's a fair bit of detecting in that in terms of working out Bane's plans. He works a lot with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Are you going to watch it?
I might eventually.
His middle name is Robin.
I'm out. Maybe I won't now.
Oh, no, it's not his middle name is Robin. No,
Is it Dick?
His actual first name is Robin, but throughout the movie, they call him something, a name, right? I can't remember.
Yeah.
And then he has to go and pick something up. And the
I'm out.
woman's like, he's like, what's your name? And he's like, oh, Constable Joseph Lemon.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she goes, I can't find you. And he goes, oh, that's Joseph's my middle name. I go by my first name. She's like, what that? And he goes, Robin. I'm like, boah.
That would have been one of those times in the cinema I was like, oh, like the 18 times I did it when we watched the new Matrix movie.
I went, boah, like that.
Yeah.
Not as audibly. Because it's not... Nolan said he's not making a fourth one.
I was going to say, I want a Robin movie.
You want a Chris O'Donnell movie, is what you want.
I want a Robin movie where he's the main character. And it's like his origin story of Robin. And he's gay. Get over it.
Titans, the show Titans on Netflix, is all... It started from Teen Titans, was a series of comic books and then a show, which was like Robin works with Wonder Girl, works with, other lesser people and young people.
Batgirl, Supergirl.
Yeah, so instead
Aquagirl.
of them being the sidekicks, Robin and Wonder Girl lead these younger heroes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Titans is the grown-up version of that on Netflix. Very grown-up. There's nudity.
Ooh.
And sex.
Ooh, for teenagers. Ooh.
Well, they're not really teenagers.
Okay. Cool.
Brenton Thwaites, Australian actor, he plays Robin.
Don't know who that is.
It's very good. Robin's not gay. There's one called Nightwing. He's a bit homo.
Robin is gay. Anyway,
No, he's not. Chris O'Donnell wanted to sleep with Alicia Silverstone in Batman Forever, or the fourth one.
only because he couldn't sleep with Batman.
Okay. What else did I have in my story notes?
My question is,
That's about it. His voice at the end is a bit too much, but I guess he's injured and puffed or something.
my question is, does it pass the Bechdel test?
No.
And I read, no, I don't think two women have a conversation with each other.
No.
Because one is Maggie Gyllenhaal and the other is his wife. Like,
His wife?
actually, it does. Commissioner Gordon's. I say it would actually. Wait, doesn't. At the dinner with the ballerina.
When the ballerina and Maggie Gyllenhaal talk about the Roman Empire.
But no, is it a conversation about Batman? They're talking about Batman, or it
Is that count
progresses
as
into
talking about a man? But that's not a man they want a relationship with, even though Maggie Gyllenhaal does, and presumably the Russian ballerina roots Bruce Wayne.
You know what? I'm gonna
Detective woman talks to Barbara Gordon about Jim, though, about Jim being dead. Whose wife? Jim's wife.
Jim's wife.
Yeah.
You know what?
Dark Knight Rises
Detective
doesn't
Ramirez calls Jim Gordon's wife, and they have a brief conversation about the Gordon family's safety. But she's held at gunpoint. No, that's having one woman forced at gunpoint by a man to talk to another woman does not really pass the test. Is what someone. You know what? It technically probably does, but anyway. You know what
We
did
said
pass
that,
the test of?
We said that about Oppenheimer as well. So,
yeah.
Mr. Nolan, look it up.
What else has he done? He hasn't made that many movies. Like
Inception.
Inception,
Doesn't.
can't remember.
No, because the only woman.
There's only one. Oh no, there was. Well,
No, but Marion Cotillard only appears in Leonardo DiCaprio's dreams, so there's no chance for Elliot Page to have a conversation.
that's true. Yeah,
With more than that.
Yeah.
And even if it would be about the
need
fact
to
that
watch Inception
Leo's
again.
losing his mind.
Yeah.
So,
Not a good track record, Christopher.
and Jonathan, because Jonathan writes the scripts.
Yeah. You know what?
Impact.
It was one of those movies I watched. You know how I've done with Barbie?
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. And you watch it and you go, it's going to win an Oscar for
Yes.
something.
Yeah.
I remember being in the cinema watching it and going,
Did you say it out loud?
I was like, just give it an Oscar for sound now.
Yeah.
Then what happened? Won an Oscar for sound.
Oh, well done.
And obviously then won an Oscar for
Heath.
supporting actor. Was also nominated for 8. It was nominated for 8 Oscars in total. And 9 BAFTAs. Which is
right.
a lot. And then Heath won the quintuple, which is the Oscar, BAFTA, Golden Globe, Screen Actors Guild Award, and Critics' Choice Award.
Oh, and the Logie.
And an AFI award. And all the other stuff.
Home and Away Award.
Yep. It won a shitload of awards. I'm not going to go into all of them.
Any surprising win of awards, do you reckon?
No.
Okay.
One thing about the awards, which I agree with, my theory, so this was 2008, right?
Yes.
And then from 2009, they said, we're going to do 10 Best Picture nominees instead of 5.
Okay, yep.
And I think this, and along with Wall-E, are why.
Yep. So the 5 were Frost Nixon, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, The Reader, Milk, and Slumdog Millionaire. Mm-hmm. So Wall-E would have made it. Yep.
If they had 10, like they did the next year, Wall-E would have been nominated. This would have been nominated. There would have been other things that were nominated. The Wrestler, probably.
Nolan didn't get nominated for Best Director, though.
Nope.
Interesting.
Because it's an action movie, Lee.
What did Amy Adams do that got her a Best Supporting Actress nomination?
For that year.
Yeah.
Doubt.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yep. Yeah, good.
This was... Dark Knight was the first comic book movie to reach $1 billion.
Yeah, wow.
It made more money than Batman Begins' entire domestic run
In the opening
in
weekend.
first 6 days.
Oh. Wow.
And the highest movie of 2008, highest grossing, we've said. It's referenced in there's one funny bit in Family Guy where Peter is dressed as the Joker and he blows up a hospital. There's other stuff as well. There's so much I could talk about.
Blowing up a hospital. So funny.
Casting wise, so Heath Ledger, when they were casting for Batman Begins, he did go for Batman, I think.
Yeah.
Heath Ledger,
Yeah.
and him and Christopher Nolan were like, no, that's not right. And they're like, but hang around. And so he was always Nolan's first choice.
Nolan is someone you want to stay mates with.
Yeah.
Because if
Look
you're
at
in
Cillian
one-
Murphy.
Well, that's it. Like, Heath Ledger would have been... He could have been in The Dark Knight Rises. People have talked about that. He could definitely have been instead of Matthew McConaughey in Interstellar,
He could have been Cillian Murphy. He could have been Oppenheimer.
he would have been in Dunkirk and he would have been in Tenet.
Yeah.
100%.
He could have been Oppenheimer.
He could have, but Nolan has said, since I started working with Cillian Murphy, I've always wanted to give him a lead role.
Yeah. Cool. Look, so he's always first choice, but of course, being with this, there were names that fans wanted to play the Joker,
Yeah, okay.
right?
Yep.
Robin Williams.
Well, that's just, no. That's because they apparently got close to Nicholson's Joker.
Right. Sean Penn.
Yeah.
Paul Bettany.
Would have been a contrast to Milk for Sean Penn.
Yeah. Paul Bettany.
Yeah.
Johnny Depp.
No, not right for this universe.
Basic. Crispin Glover.
No. He's a weirdo. He's a weirdo in real life. I love Back to the Future and I like George McFly, but in real life, he's apparently a super weirdo.
Yeah. And Christopher Walken. Could you imagine? I can't do it. Can I do a Christopher Walken?
What's his name?
Exactly right. I can't remember his name. In Batman
Max Shrek.
Returns. Max Shrek.
Yeah, in Batman Returns.
Look, that's kind of all I have, but I just have to say, like...
Can I say something slightly hot take?
Uh-huh.
This movie makes Christopher Nolan Christopher Nolan.
Okay.
Because after Batman Begins, he does The Prestige, right?
Yep.
And The Prestige is not like, fuck, now everyone wants to work with Christopher Nolan.
No.
Even Batman
No.
Begins
Yep.
is not like, he is it. We
Yep.
will give you as much money
Yep.
and people as you want. But after this, it's Inception,
Yep.
Dark Knight Rises, Interstellar, Dunkirk, Tenet, Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
And Memento. Upcoming.
Oh,
according to
no.
IMDb. A redo of Memento.
Oh, God, I
But
hope
before that was two shorts, Doodlebug and Following, and then Memento. So Memento and Batman Begins, then The Prestige,
Yeah.
and
it
then
really...
The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
I don't want to say launched Christopher Nolan,
It...
but it made Christopher Nolan Christopher Nolan.
Yeah. This movie, okay, it's decent cast,
Yes.
decent people making this movie.
Yeah.
If things go as predicted at the Oscars, Christian Bale, Heath Ledger, Gary Oldman, Michael Caine, Cillian Murphy, Christopher Nolan, Morgan Freeman, and Hans Zimmer,
Are all Oscar winners.
all Oscar winners, and they're all involved in this movie. There's
Yeah.
probably even more. Like the guy, best boy. Maybe he won an Oscar. I don't know.
Well, sound design.
Sound guy.
Sound guy did win an Oscar.
Or the cinematography guy might be the same cinematography guy.
Yeah.
Editing.
Well, and
The sound guy will probably win again if it's the same sound guy.
Robert Downey Jr. They are
It's
often
Dark Knight.
They are often people that directors do take with them.
Yeah.
Like Spielberg's had the same production designer and cinematographer pretty much forever.
Yeah.
And for every movie.
Because you've got a look. They know your look.
Yeah.
Most
And-
people have a look.
John Williams just smashes out anything Steven Spielberg wants.
Yep.
And Hans Zimmer and Nolan often work together as well. Shall we give some
We
awards?
should give some awards.
Okay. The Andy Millman from Ricky Gervais's Extras Worst Extra Award. I just wrote most of the henchmen.
Yeah. That's the tricky thing with henchmen. Like, it's that funny bit in, speaking of Michael Caine, in Goldmember. Austin
Yep.
Powers Goldmember. And he's like, Cheeto chop, Cheeto chop.
Yep.
And then he's like, look, you think I'm going to kill me? You
haven't even got a name.
You haven't even got a name badge. Very funny. Why don't you just fall down? And then they're like, oh, he's good. He's good.
One thing that I do like, I am on the record on this podcast of loving 60s Batman.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that Heath Ledger's Joker did, directed, scripted, I don't know, is that in the fight in Bruce's penthouse, he pushes one of his henchmen into Batman. That's something that Cesar Romero did all the time. Actually, all of them did. Even Mickey, Rocky's boxing trainer, did it as well. I love that in the show, and I'm very happy that Heath did it in this movie. But the henchmen generally are still shit.
Yeah. I also nominated in the first court scene where you see Harvey Dent doing his thing, Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Yep.
And he punches the fucking guy in the face.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Then there's a third lawyer that's next to Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Oh yeah.
And he punches, and then it's everybody's clapping him for punching a guy, and then the third lawyer's just
Again.
what is that reaction? And I think he randomly pops up in other moments as well, but he doesn't say anything. The other one I nominated a couple more. In Hong Kong, and then they're in that building, and then Batman's got the Lau,
Yeah.
and he's like, I'm going to go. And then
I'm going to go now.
there's this one henchman that's going to shoot him, but doesn't. And he's just he's just looking around.
What do I do?
What do I do if I'm not shooting him? And then he blows up the window and then flies off, but he's still just sitting there with this weird look in his face.
I'm nominating, while Harvey is doing his Dawn is Coming speech at the press conference,
Yeah.
most of the reporters don't like him in this moment. But there's one that's during that speech looking up at Harvey Dent like she is listening to the Sermon on the Mount or something
Listen, other cheesemakers.
She's like,
yeah.
oh my God, this is the most amazing speech I've ever heard. It's he's just throwing out cliches. It's
Yeah.
darkest before the dawn.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh my God, this is the most amazing man and the most amazing moment of my life as a journalist. Everyone else in the room hates him.
Yeah. The other guy I nominated was when they're on the boats. And then, there's the civilian boat and the prisoner boat. And then there's the army guy who has the clicker.
Yep.
And then he's just like, we're not going to talk about this.
Oh, not the prisoner that goes, you don't know how to take
No,
a life.
he does this. I'll do it.
Yeah.
He's very quietly.
He's good, though.
He's very good.
He's good, though.
But he's like, give me the thing. I'll do it. You don't have the guts.
You mentioned the odd promotion.
Uh-huh.
I thought you meant like an advertising promotion.
No, like a job promotion.
The odd job promotion.
Yeah.
And everyone stands there and claps. There's a guy over Gordon's shoulder, tall guy, that just stands there and claps, deadpan, looking straight ahead, just past the camera.
Yeah.
Do something. Your boss
that
just
guy.
got a promotion.
That guy. Winner.
One more.
Okay.
If you were driving in the city, right?
Yep.
Melbourne has some busy streets.
Yeah.
And you turned a corner. Let's say you turned up from Elizabeth Street into Collins Street. Hook turn, maybe.
Yeah. Hook turn. Yep.
And then you see a semi-trailer flip over.
Yeah. You'd
Would
react.
you keep driving towards
Especially if the sound was like...
Yeah.
Which is very good.
And then...
Yeah.
Would you keep driving down Collins Street?
Well, I gotta go.
No.
I gotta get to
All of those
work.
people that still drive down LaSalle Street, one of the most famous streets in Chicago, after the truck has been flipped and a helicopter's crashed and there's probably a fire truck on fire still.
Yeah.
Pull over, take a different route. I'm going down Burke Street, getting stuck by the Mall, having to go down Flinders Street, which is closed for the Metro Tunnel works, and having to leave the city and come back in a different way.
Yeah.
But I'm not driving down a road where a truck has just flipped over in front of me. But I think the guy that Lurch with the clapping.
With the clapping, yeah. Good.
All right, the Estelle Reiner, I'll have what she's having, Best Extra Awards. I only have one nomination.
Same.
It's the kids that are shooting the car.
Oh, mine is...
Because they just shooting, and then the car blows up and they're like,
oh my God, we did it.
look at each other. And then Batman goes past and they're like, oh my fuck, that was Batman.
That was good. The one I nominated was the stenographer. You know, when he goes to court and he's like, arrest these 400 people.
Oh, yeah, and there's 1,000 lawyers in there.
And then they're all like, I checked. And then the stenographer looks at the judge and just like, well,
I gave up my gig on Judge Judy for that.
found it really funny. But I'm happy to give it to those kids because we gave worst extra to a kid recently. So let's balance the
We
scales
did
a bit.
in Dodgeball. We gave it to the kids that cheers too much.
These guys, that was funny.
Yeah. The Halle Berry
All right, you ready?
X-Men worst line. I only have one nomination.
I have a question.
Okay, go.
Can a scream be a worst line?
Who screamed? Maggie when she falls out the window?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Eric Roberts when he falls off the roof. And he's just like, ah!
I don't know, because I closed my eyes for
Yeah,
that bit.
because he lands and like, oh, cringe. Criminals in this town used to believe in things, honor, respect.
No, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I've got the guy that's the passenger that's driving the truck of Harvey Dent.
Yes.
When the helicopter crashes. And he goes, that's not good. Oh, that's not
Yeah,
good.
I wrote-
fucking hate those kinds of lines.
The first line I wrote of that guy was, I didn't sign up for this.
I wrote that in my general notes.
And then wrote,
I'm like, you didn't sign up for this.
it's
but
your
you
fucking job, mate.
No, well, SWAT teams don't always have bazookas shot at them, but you've signed up to be a part of SWAT team in Gotham,
Yeah.
the most crime-riddled city in America.
The second most crime-riddled city in the world. First, Gotham. Second, Mount Thomas.
Mount Thomas.
I didn't sign up for this. I wrote that, but then I said, but then eventually everything he said. And then I wrote, that's not good.
That's not good.
That's not good.
Yep. Hope you got some moves, buddy, when
Um,
he first gets in the car.
and then I wrote, on the boats again. Can you tell I didn't like that bit? They're doing, do we push it? And then this one guy goes, we're still here. That means they haven't killed us yet either.
Yes.
Thank you for spelling that out.
That does mean that.
Far out.
Captain Obvious.
Yeah. I had one last nomination.
I'd like to make a withdrawal. You said that at the start of the whole
Well, I
episode.
thought that was maybe ad-libbed by someone, a nameless henchman. So
Okay.
then my last nomination is every line Christian Bale said as Batman.
You've got to be the hero that Gotham deserves. I'm wearing hockey pads.
And then he looks at his pants. Anyway, they're my nominations. Yeah. That's not good. We both nominated
That's
that.
not good.
So
Yeah. Although I'm not wearing hockey pads, it's pretty bad. Yeah. But that
thought-
guy
I
that
was-
says, what makes you different to us? I'm like, look at what he's fucking driving.
yeah.
Like, come on.
Money, you dickhead.
Yeah, clearly.
Oh.
Have you ever seen him with a shotgun and a catcher's mitt? I don't like. What are they wearing? I didn't cry
Great.
for the Ben Stiller Something About Mary most cryingest moment.
Yep.
Which takes us on to the I Am Your Father most iconic scene.
Look.
None of my nominations feature Batman.
All my iconic scenes are Joker.
There is.
I have five.
I'm
I have
nominating
five.
just the look of the Joker.
I am nominating. Well, I think, yeah, if we're thinking scenes, and then if I was said the best shot, it is when he's in that cell clapping.
Yeah.
Or one of the scenes I said, okay, so I had five. I had five
Okay.
iconic scenes that are all the Joker.
I'll tell you if I also had them.
Okay. Making the pencil disappear.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if that's top
Probably
level
not.
iconic.
Why so serious? When he's the first time he says it.
To
the mob
that
guy.
Gamble guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clapping
that's
in
a
the
good
cell.
Yeah, okay.
When he heads out the car
I have that.
and blowing up a hospital.
The Joker walking in front of the hospital when it explodes. That's it.
Yep.
I had him hanging out the cop car.
Yep.
I also had the truck flip.
The truck flip was good.
Yeah. But I think it's him walking in front of the hospital.
Yeah.
Because that, even though he's not in his suit, it's his look of the hair and the makeup.
Yeah.
But the way he walks, as well, is a huge part of Ledger's representation of this character.
Yeah.
So I think that's it.
Yeah. I'm happy with blowing up a hospital.
And it's a little bit
I'm
funny.
happy with the scene of which in The Dark Knight he blows up a hospital being the most iconic scene from the movie. I'm not happy with the hospital being blown up. Although
Sorry.
the one near me is probably going to get demolished soon.
Sorry, Christian Bale, that you didn't get nominated.
The Dark Knight
Yeah, sorry,
didn't get
The Dark
nominated.
Knight. I couldn't even think off the top of my head in Batman Begins, the most iconic scene.
Is that shit with sand?
No.
Oh.
Scarecrow. Sand.
There's some scene where there's like a shitload of sand in Gotham City. Or am I making that up?
No. It could be one of the Spider-Man movies where
Okay.
a guy plays Sandman.
I think that's it.
And I think in the Dark Knight Rises, it's when Batman fights Bane in the sewers.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
In terms of the DC universe,
Yep.
Metropolis is New York, Gotham is Chicago. Is that what we're just like agreeing with?
Well, geographically, this is the thing. Metropolis is kind of based on New York.
Yeah.
Right? It's the big, almost island city.
Yeah.
But Gotham City isn't necessarily based on Chicago. Obviously, like there's this meme that we'll share on our socials where Nolan's just like, fuck it, it's Chicago.
Yeah. I can't spend the money.
But then in Justice League, Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice, they are twin cities like
Aubrey Wodonga.
yes, I was going to say Oakland.
Yeah,
and
okay.
San Francisco across a bay of each other.
Oh, fuck. That's a messy bay.
Because-
area. I'm like, Jesus.
Because in Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice, people in Gotham saw across the bay the destruction of Metropolis that Superman wreaked when he fought Zod.
Oh, General Zod.
Yeah. So, and a lot of people that live in Gotham work in Metropolis or know people that live in Metropolis that got their homes or offices destroyed by Superman, which is a big part of the story.
Great.
So, yes, Metropolis has always had New York vibes, and Gotham is the slightly smaller, dirtier version, which I don't know. No offense to any Chicagoans listening. I don't know if that's you.
It's New Jersey.
Speaking of Chicago,
Yep. Oh, shit.
maybe it's Philly. Speaking of Chicago, let's do a top 5. Mm-hmm. We're going to do a top 5 movies set in Chicago because LaSalle Street is, from what I've read, the most famous street in Chicago, and there is a shot where you see a building that says 500 LaSalle Street.
Yeah.
So Nolan was just like, let's use a city and make it Gotham City. So we're doing our top 5 movies set in Chicago. When I did it, I was like, when I think of Chicago in movies, I think of these ones.
Yeah, I did Google, and there was some that was like, I didn't know that was in Chicago. So then for me, it was like, if I don't go, if I don't think that's already in Chicago, then
Like
it's
one of
not
my
that iconic.
honourable mentions, The Untouchables,
Oh, okay.
is a great movie
Yeah.
and is set in Chicago.
Right.
But I don't go, Untouchables? Oh, yeah, that movie that's set in Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, my number
I have no
5,
honorable mentions, by the way. It was a bit of a struggle.
My number 5 is Rookie of the Year.
Fucking hell.
Because when we said top 5 films set in Chicago, I'm like, I'm sure he pitches for the Cubs. And he does. So that's my number 5.
My number 5 is The Sting.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I had to put a gangster one in there.
Yeah, I haven't seen The Sting. My number 4 is Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
My number 4 is The Untouchables.
See, I think of that movie, but I don't think of that movie as a Chicago movie. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. So Chicago has become a bit of a film city. And a few years ago, we went to Star Wars Celebration in Chicago, and we just spent like 4.5 days straight of movie stuff to do with Star Wars.
Yeah.
And we're like, we've got 1 day free in Chicago. Let's do non-movie stuff. And then we're doing this tour along the river in Chicago, and the tour guide goes, that's the building that they used for this in The Dark Knight. And then we're all like, oh yeah, The Dark Knight was filmed here. We should go and find all the locations. So we spent the rest of the day finding Dark Knight locations, including LaSalle Street. The Mail Exchange building is the one that they have Dent's funeral in front of, and Gordon's. The theatre where the thing was cancelled, the ballet was cancelled. So that, And we also then realised Ferris Bueller's Day Off. So we got photos on the street where he does the parade.
Yes.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
So that is why it is
That's
my
my
number
number.
3.
Okay, my number 3 is Blues Brothers.
Okay. I've forgotten one that you're going to say then.
It's 106 miles to Chicago.
Yeah.
It's dark and wearing sunglasses.
Because my number 2 is Blues Brothers.
Okay. My number 2 is Dark Knight.
See, I didn't include Dark Knight because it's not
Well-
in Chicago.
I did because you go, that's Chicago when you watch it.
Yeah, but it's not in Chicago.
Yeah, all right. But
This is real life in Chicago.
Dark Knight is the reason that we're doing this list.
Yeah.
So I put it in there.
Yeah.
So our number 1 is Chicago.
Number 1 is just in Chicago. The first movie I think of that is set in Chicago is, funnily enough, Chicago.
Called Chicago.
Yeah.
They don't sing a song about Chicago, though.
No.
No, all that jazz. So we've got, again, some similarities. You didn't have Rookie of the Year.
Surprisingly, no. I'll give an honourable mention to A League of Their Own because it's at Wrigley Field. It's at Clark Stadium. Because the guy, Clark, Mr. Harvey, like your candy bars.
yeah.
Look, you're completely nuts. He's just a rip-off of Wrigley.
My honourable mentions were the Untouchables because it's a very good movie. I just don't think Chicago. And then also Home Alone
Yep.
and Wayne's World,
Yeah, okay.
set in the suburbs
Yeah.
of Chicago.
Yeah.
Any John Hughes movie, basically.
Any
is
John
set-
Hughes
is set
movie.
somewhere in Illinois.
Look, if Breakfast Club wasn't overrated and boring, maybe that would have made my list. Who knows?
All right, let's have a movie for next week. Is it my turn to give you clues? Or... Okay.
There's the rando.
The randomizer, roly, 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 poly.
I'm scared.
Okay, it rolls through alphabetically and then just stops.
Yeah.
Clues.
That's how else is it meant to roll through?
No, I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, clues. This is a movie that we have already done the sequel of.
Is it Speed?
Yes.
Yes!
That's going to make a shit TikTok. Speed.
Yay!
The
I'm so excited.
Or the bus that couldn't slow down.
I fucking love Speed. I hope I still love it.
Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock, that woman that ruins it all by moving her fucking skirt.
Oh, bitch.
Yeah, that's it. Speed.
Love it. All right.
6 degrees from Speed to The Dark Knight.
Sandra Bullock.
Sandra Bullock.
done a lot of
or
movies.
Keanu
Keanu.
Reeves.
Dennis Hopper.
Dennis Hopper. Yep.
I
I feel like there's some Keanu Reeves connection somewhere.
What has Ryan Reynolds done
Keanu Reeves
potentially with
Patrick
any of
Swayze.
those people?
Ryan Reynolds did a movie with Sandra Bullock.
Yeah. The
The
proposal.
Proposal. I was going to call
Yeah.
it The Engagement.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can get from Ryan Reynolds to Gary Well, no. Keanu Reeves was in Dracula with Gary Oldman.
Oh, Bram Stoker. Yeah, okay, done.
Was in Bram Stoker's
There you go.
Dracula with Gary Oldman.
That
Done.
was the quickest guess and the quickest 6 degrees we've ever done.
Thanks
1
for
degree of
listening.
separation.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Two Drink Cinema. Speed is on for next week. One of Brett's actual favourites
I
and
was obsessed with it as a kid.
30-year anniversary.
Yes, it is.
Another anniversary movie accidentally. So watch Speed between now and next week. There'll be another episode of 2 out of 3 Recommend coming out on that feed during the week as well. Like, subscribe, comment, join the Facebook group to tell us your top 5 movies set in Chicago. And we'll be back next week. Thank you, Brett.
Thanks, Lee.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. Thanks for listening to Two Drink Cinema. We would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which this podcast was produced and pay our respects to elders past and present.
If you'd like to support the podcasts, either leave the tip or become a member for early access to these episodes by using the link in the show notes.
Join the Facebook group for more chat about the movies we review and make sure you follow us on the socials to keep up to date.
Hit the subscribe button and leave us a review on your podcast app.
Happy viewing and drink responsibly.